Hello, everyone. Welcome to UGA Sports Rumors versus Facts. I am Blaine Gilmer. That is Jed May, who has I like the little tag under the tag, man. UGA Sports. How did you do that? I don't even know how to do that.
Oh, I was I was on a podcast with some Ohio State guys the other day, and I had it on there. I didn't even know it would stay. That's cool.
What
Awesome.
was
So
it?
Jed teaching us some new stuff here.
Was
Yeah,
it targeted?
with the targeting,
Yeah,
yes, yeah,
were you talking about Javon Bullard knocking loose a kidney from
we
Marvin
targeted.
Harrison over there?
The whole thing was targeting. We was a hit at the beginning of the show, and then there was like a 45-minute review, and then it was still targeting at the end. So
Gotcha. Well, Trent, how you doing this evening, man?
Doing good. You sound a little under the weather.
Yeah, y'all are gonna have to put the team on your back, so to speak. I'm playing hurt right now. Got the pollen's killing me. But I tell you, speaking of killing me, killing it. Okay, on the trail with momentum and all that kind of stuff is our guest that's coming on tonight. None other than recently offered 2025 quarterback from Lucedale, Mississippi, Mr. Deuce Knight. Deuce, thank you for joining us, man. We appreciate you coming on.
Yes, sir.
So, Jed, I believe you've already talked a little bit with Deuce. Go ahead, man. What do we got for Mr. Deuce here?
yeah, dude. So take us back. I think it was last week. Mike Bobo comes out to watch you practice. He's hanging out with your grandpa, talking about fishing, and then y'all connect on the phone. He tells you that you've got an offer. So take us. You hear that from him, that you've got an offer from the two-time national champions. What goes through your mind when you hear something like that?
So what went through my mind, I was just in the room. I was on the phone with my mom, and I was like, "Dang, I hope Georgia off me today," because I was like, once you get that Georgia offer, if you get a Georgia or Alabama offer, they kind of mean like you stamped in the recruiting world. It's like that really mean like you a big time prospect. Like once you get one of those offers, so like. Just like hearing that, like he say, I got an offer from Georgia. He want me to come help them win some more national titles. It was just crazy. I was really excited. I told my friends, like, I was like, if I get this offer, man, I might do a backflip after practice. So when I got it, I was just happy, like the whole day or the
We
whole
definitely
night.
see you got the athleticism to do the backflip as your highlights are playing over here. I believe in just a minute you're going to take a power read to the house right here. You saw those guys dart outside and you just flying up the middle. So
Yes,
a
sir.
lot of guys don't like the moniker of dual threat or stuff like that. How do you see yourself as a quarterback, Deuce? Are you a guy? Obviously, you have plenty of success from the pocket. You completed almost 62% of your passes this year, almost 2,000 yards. And a great touchdown to interception ratio. But how do you kind of see yourself as a quarterback?
My coach, he actually asked me that question about 2 weeks ago. We would come back from Ole Miss, and he was like, uh, "A lot of sites got you ranked as like a dual threat, or they say you're a dual threat quarterback, than opposed to like a pro style quarterback." But it really kind of doesn't matter to me. I'm a football player. I just like to win games and score touchdowns. So like that stuff doesn't matter to me. But I just see myself as like I'm a passer. I'm a passer first. Like that's what I want to do. But I'm athletic enough to like, hey, I need to go run. I need to go get a first down. I need to go score. I just like scoring football. So however I can.
Absolutely. We got a YouTube question here. Thomas Doe is asking. He's asking, when is Deuce Knight visiting Georgia? He wants to know when
Uh,
you're going to make it over.
Sometime early June, mid June, but I know I'll be up there for sure.
Absolutely. Trent, what you got for Deuce?
I know everybody, especially quarterback, you kind of model your game after somebody. Maybe it be NFL, maybe it be the college ranks. Is there anybody in particular you model your game after?
My dad, me and my dad, we're big Panthers fans. So like growing up, I just watched Cam Newton. So like that's like my favorite quarterback to play. So like kind of Cam Newton, you know. I'm trying to get big. I'm trying to get big like him. It's on the way. So like that's who just like watching his highlights. I probably don't watch his highlights like his Auburn highlights at least 30 times.
Uh, Jed, you can answer this one for Deuce. What part of the SIP is Lucedale? Because you just looked it up on the map before we were coming down. You said it's
I
dang near
did,
down in
man.
Mexico.
hit Wikipedia, so everything is true. But Deuce, it looks like it's way down there, almost by Mobile, right?
Yeah, sir. It's like I'm like 45 minutes from Mobile.
So I want to ask you, because when you when I talked to you that day, you said, I'm from a small town. Coach Bobo's from a small town. We connected over that. Just talk to us, I guess, one about growing up in a small town playing football, and then how you and Coach Bobo were able to connect on that front when y'all met the other day.
So growing up from a small town and then like playing football, especially like kind of being good at it, like at what you do. Like first off, it's just like everybody know each other. So like if I go to Walmart, I'm gonna see somebody I know in Walmart. And then you know how you kind of be like, you kind of see somebody in pole, but you don't want to speak right there. Like you have to speak. So and then just me being good at football, like that means everybody know you, and then like. But it's kind of good growing up from a small town, just cause like I said, everybody knows each other. So I think that's an advantage. Then just you live so close to like your friends and stuff. So like you constantly playing outside. You don't have to like say if I live in a big town or something, you don't have to like go 15 minutes to try to go play with your friends and stuff. Like everybody right here, they can just go to the park or something. And then me connecting with Coach Bobo, it was just like it was really him talking about he was just riding through Lucedale trying to find some food, and he stopped at McDonald's. And I was like, yeah, that's about all you can eat, because we got McDonald's and we got Burger King and then Subway, and then that's probably it. So
Well, I have heard, and I've actually, firsthand, my brother, he used to go out to Ole Miss's baseball camp every year, right? In high school. He said they'd stop at some of these like places on the side of the road in Mississippi, like looks like a gas station, but it's got fried chicken in the bag. He says the best fried chicken you've ever had in your life.
Yeah, if you stop at the gas stations, they gonna always have like good chicken tenders, good chicken, some okra and stuff like that. So it's like good food, like at every gas station. Like if you go to a gas station, all gonna be good food.
Alex Page on YouTube wants to know any of the schools in Mobile on your schedule. They're like Sarah Land, who also has a big QB prospect as well. So do y'all play any schools from Mobile?
No, sir. We don't play any Mobile schools, but like I was going in my freshman year. I think we might have played Sarah Land in the spring game, but I wasn't in high school yet. But that was a spring game. We don't play them during the season.
I got you. Trent, you got anything else?
Yeah, I mean, living in Mississippi, as a football recruit, a lot of Mississippi kids get overlooked. You got Alabama, and then it goes to Louisiana. Mississippi kind of gets overlooked. Have you had to do anything extra for 7-on-7 or stuff just to get out there and get seen? I mean, your film speaks for itself, but have you done anything extra to get out there and get seen?
Yes, sir. I play 7-on-7 and stuff, but like the school where I come from in Mississippi, had guys like McKinley, and then he was speaking about MJ earlier. Then we had another receiver I played with my freshman year named Marquez Dortch. So it's like just those guys, the schools coming to see those guys, and then watching their games, and they'll just see me or something, or like another player, and then that's how MJ got looked like. McKinley, big time D tackle prospect, and then people coming to practice, coming to watch that game, they're like, "Ooh, who is that guy?" So it's kind of like just we all kind of feed off each other too.
Did you say you recently visited Ole Miss?
Yes, sir. I was there a couple weeks ago, probably 2 or 3 weeks ago.
What'd you think about old Lane Kiffin?
He cool. He real chill, laid back guy. Like he's just real chill. So you probably won't get much out of him. Like, he's just real laid back, chill.
Unless it's on Twitter, right?
Yeah, he real funny on Twitter.
He goes wild on Twitter. I gotta ask you, man, about being a lefty. Okay. You go to a quarterback coach and all that kind of stuff, and typically it's hard for them because when it's a lefty or something, they got to turn everything around and try to teach it opposite and stuff like that. And like, have you always been where'd he go? I scared him off with the left-handed question. He might have got a call or something. There you are.
Yeah,
Deuce, you good?
Called me again. Yes, sir, I'm good.
Okay. have you always done everything left-handed, or you've got it always thrown, or have you like batted one way, thrown another, and you know what do you do right-handed and left-handed?
No, so I'm like probably the only thing that I do right-handed is I cut like stuff like with scissors right-handed, but like I've always been a left-handed guy. I do everything left-handed. My brother actually though, I think when he played baseball, he used to pitch left-handed and bat right-handed. So,
Yeah, so
but
it runs in the family, the
You,
lefty.
you
Being
don't
a
play any
lefty.
yes, sir.
baseball?
My grandma, she left-handed too. So
Do you play any
uh,
baseball?
me,
Yeah.
yes, sir. I played baseball until my 8th grade year, and I stopped playing. It was kind of like baseball is like you gotta wait on everything, and I was the guy that just want to like go play. I play outfield, I play center field. So like you gotta wait for the ball to come to you. You gotta wait till you get the pitch you like, and I got tired of like just waiting on everything. So
Well, I see a
moving,
lot of
I just like to
quarterbacks
get
these
in
days.
action.
A lot of quarterbacks these days are pitchers, or
Oh,
and have you ever pitched?
yeah, so I used to pitch. I pitched and I played center field, and then like my baseball coach, well, not my baseball coach, but the baseball coach at our school, he always like begged me to come back. He was like, "We got that number 2 for you. We got that pinstripe number 2 for you." Like, nah, coach, you can keep it. I
You
just
keep
tell
it.
him I'm gonna stick with the football.
Jed, what else you got for Deuce here?
Yeah, just I mean, well, what do you have a favorite play or game from your career, whether it's running the ball, throwing the ball, as this dual threat thing? Do you have one, favorite play or moment that exemplifies your game the most, would you say?
So probably my favorite play is so it was our first playoff game. Our playoff game our 9th grade year, and we got the ball first. So it's like literally the first snap of the game. I ran an 80-yard touchdown, power read, like that play that was on my film. So that was a cool play. And then like just my favorite play to do, just throw the comebacks called comeback left. The slot guy, he just runs a shallow. Then if his man covers, you just throw the comeback, and then if it's zone, we'll come back, and we have like what is called a seam bender. Like, so if it's too high, he gonna like bend it to a post, and if it's one high, he gonna seam it. Then just hit either one of them. So, but yeah,
There you go. A little bit of inside the scheme right there.
yeah.
We appreciate that, Deuce. I got to ask you some real quick ones here. Give us updated, height, weight, 40 time. What's
Uh,
all that right now?
so my height, I'm 6'4". I'm around. Sometimes like I go to schools. Mississippi State weighed me at like 200. They weighed me like 200 on the dot the other day. But then it's anywhere from 195 to 200. And then 40 time, I run 4.5.
4.5. That's picking them up and putting them down, especially at
Yes,
the
sir.
quarterback position for
How
sure.
how 4.5?
I hear you. Is Deuce your real first name, or are you like the second? Like what? Tell us the name.
Yes, sir. So I'm the second. My name is Justin Knight the second. So just my dad called me Deuce, and then that's just what everybody knows me by. Like my teachers, they all call me Deuce too. So
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Favorite food.
favorite food. Um, I like just fries or like ribs or something. Wings. That's my favorite food.
From a convenience store?
Uh, I get some sometimes, but just really from anywhere. I just like wings.
I got you. And the last one from me that I wanted to ask you in terms of Georgia and, getting the offer, and obviously they've had the success and all that kind of stuff, and you're thinking about visits, but how much have you been able to see the last 2 years of Georgia's run, and kind of what do you think of the offensive style that Georgia has?
So they run like back-to-back national championships. That's crazy, but I really just haven't like sat there and just watched the offense play. You always kind of hear about the defense and like that 2021 defense. Everybody got drafted from that started. Everybody got drafted
Literally
from that
everybody.
defense. So that's all I really watched. I did watch that Georgia and Tennessee game, but that's the whole point of me trying to get up there, just so I can see like firsthand like how Coach Bobo, how he coaches and stuff, and then see what they kind of do on offense and see how I just fit in everything.
Absolutely. Well, you guys got anything else for Deuce before we let him go?
What's the best in Loosedale? The Subway, the McDonald's, or the Burger King? Out of the three.
I eat Subway a lot. So Subway.
He's keeping it fresh. That's the healthy answer. His coach is gonna like that. His high school coach is gonna like that. Well, Deuce, we appreciate you joining us. We'd love to hear from you once you take your visit to Athens. Listen, Georgia recruiting fans that are on here, they're gonna be relentless, man. They're gonna want to know what Deuce Knight's up to. So we're gonna try to stay up with you. But appreciate you joining Rumors versus Facts this evening.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, man. Have a good one, and we'll catch you later.
All right.
That was Deuce Knight, recently offered from Loosedale, Mississippi. He's over there, guys. April 26th, he got the offer, and we went and studied his tape, as I'm sure you guys did as well. And I just saw that the different arm angles he's able to utilize and the release that he has, especially for a lefty. He's got a high arm slot. He's able to kind of layer it over defenses, makes good ball placement with his throws as well. And listen, for a sophomore quarterback to have 62%, completion in his first year starting, I mean, that's pretty nice deal there, Trent.
Yeah. And, he's got a pretty smooth throwing motion. A lot of lefties you see, he got that hitch, kind of that Tim Tebow hitch, or a lot of lefty quarterbacks have that. He doesn't seem to, necessarily have that. He's a good runner, but like you said, he's a lot of these dual threat guys now. They go to all these 7-on-7 stuff. You got to be a good passer. You can't just be a runner and go to the next level and play at a Power 5 school. So he looked very good throwing the ball, and I was impressed. For a guy that doesn't get as much recognition as other top quarterbacks in the country does, he throws the ball well.
Yeah, you talked to Deuce, and did put an article out on him earlier today. Had a post about him. What was your kind of impression in talking to him about what he said about the offer and kind of his recruitment process so far?
Yeah, well, and he said kind of a different version of it when we had him on, but he's like, a Georgia offer that's the gold standard in college football right now. And you see it too with like some of these kids that'll put top fives out, and Georgia is in so many of these top five. Like, y'all notice that it's kids that Georgia isn't, that hasn't necessarily been on our radars, but Georgia is like the it team right now, whether it's offers, whether it's top schools list, whatever. So it's noticed everywhere. He's like, yeah, I don't know too much about him. And then he says it's the defense, and I watched the Tennessee game. It's like, even if you feel like you don't know much about Georgia, you know more than you think, just because Georgia's kind of been everywhere in college football over the past couple of years. So it's going to be interesting to see. Like you said, he wants, that's what he is. He's got a plan in place for this visit as far as what he wants to see, what he's hoping to learn with the offense and Bobo and everything like that. But as he was telling me the other day, like Bobo made a great impression on him. He was telling me that Bobo was, comparing pictures of fish with his granddad. So he made a good impression there. Like, there's Georgia.
Dash would have loved that. Where was Dash?
Would have loved it. Yeah, if there was ever a recruit Dash would cover, it would be this one. So
all right, Dash, if you're watching, we got to hook you up with Deuce Knight's grandfather.
Yeah. So Georgia made a strong first impression. Obviously, he, a number one dual threat quarterback in the country. This isn't like he's popping to Georgia next week, but they made a strong first impression for sure.
Absolutely. Guys, we dropped a lot of news today, a lot of a war room. You had the conversation with Deuce Knight, had some notes on Sammy Brown, had some notes on a lot of, targets that Georgia is kind of gaining momentum with, including had a little interview that I put out with Cam Michael, who is from Statesboro and an athlete, a very, very gifted athlete that plays both sides of the ball down there in Statesboro. He's coming for an official visit to Georgia May 19th through 21st, which is also, as we broke the news today, May 20th is when they're doing the scavenger hunt at Georgia. So with Cam Michael and Colton Heinrich now coming for official visits that weekend, and I'm sure multiple guys coming there for unofficial visits across, the 24, 25, and 26 classes for the scavenger hunt, Trent. That's setting up to be a huge weekend now.
Yeah, you kind of hear about that first week of June and how big that's going to be. This one's going to be just as big, and a lot of there will be some 24 guys there, but a lot of talented underclassmen are going to be there. So that's going to be a big recruiting weekend, a big chance for Georgia to start that momentum and keep that momentum going throughout the 1st of June.
Absolutely. Jed, anything on that weekend? I mean, Cam Michael specifically is a guy who Georgia has really seemed to, he's visited several times, and they're kind of turning up the heat here.
Yeah, he's had an offer for a long time. Georgia has been in on him for a long time. And when you look at this defensive back class, okay, Peyton Woodyard's a safety. We know that. Ellis Robinson's a corner. We know that. And then you've got, DeMello Jones could be a safety star, Jalen Hayward, safety star type. I think Cam Michael is another guy that he will likely end up as a corner. So pair him with Ellis Robinson. And then you go, obviously, KJ Bolden's still on the board as well. Charles Lester, Georgia's going after. But yeah, that would be a good, a pretty good start there, because he's a guy, listen, like Kirby, he knows defensive backs, right? And if you're a defensive back that Kirby's going after, the chances are you can play. So, and Kirby loves a good South Georgia guy as well. So he's going to have to pluck him out of Statesboro. It's going to be hard to keep him from Georgia Southern. Yeah, Georgia is, like you said, Blaine, they're kind of turn up the heat a little bit, it seems like. And I know I think he's going to be back in the summer as well after the official. So, Cam Michael is another guy that could end up being a Bulldog before the summer's over.
Trent, I reference on here all the time the advice that Coach Donnan, gave me a long time ago: follow the visits. And Cam Michael, he got offered by Georgia in June of 2022. He came back September of 2022, came back again for another game November of 2022. He was back on March 15th of this year. Now he's coming for his official visit May 19th through 21st. And then Jed saying he's coming back in the summer. It sounds like he's a guy to circle, and a real bright marker there.
Yeah, and guys like him are guys that the Georgia staff's continuing to evaluate throughout those visits, throughout that time. He's a guy that's remained on their radar, on the staff's radar, and it seems like you said that they're putting more heat on him and to join the class, and with him keeping on visiting Athens, it sounds like good news between both parties.
Absolutely. So just to recap on that, and you heard it on UGASports or anybody else, on Colton Heinrich, a tight end out of Fort Lauderdale. He'll be doing an official visit that weekend, May 19th through 21st. And then we had the interview with Cam Michael about his upcoming official visit, May 19th through 21st. The scavenger hunt, we broke that news that it's going to be on May 20th. And then we also, this past Friday, we broke the news that today Mike Bobo would be going out to Arizona to evaluate Dylan Raiola. As far as Raiola goes, I think it's been quite clear that Georgia's had a ton of momentum there for a long time. He is very diligent in how he's going about, this process of making a firm decision in something, because I think not only Dylan, but his parents felt that he kind of rushed into the Ohio State commitment. So they're a very faith-oriented family. They wanted to take their time to, after Georgia was his last visit, it went very, very well. And after that time, they kind of want to take time to fast and pray and do all the stuff that they felt was important to them about reflecting on that, not only that visit, but everything that's happened in his recruitment to see where he would go next. Feels like there's a possibility that, hey, if that indeed is the place that he wants to be, that, it's not out of the realm of possibility. He may want to be committed at some point before his official visit, maybe to recruit other guys, but it's not a guarantee that anything pops before that first weekend in June as well. So, guys, it just seems like, though, that everything that Georgia has done to this point, and specifically the duo of Kirby Smart and Mike Bobo, have just kind of hit all the proper steps on this recruitment.
Yeah, I mean, it's gone about as smoothly as it can go when you consider there's an offensive coordinator change in the middle of this thing too. Not that Mike Bobo was new to the staff or to this recruitment necessarily, but it just shows how strong the Georgia momentum is and has been, that you can have a change like that and nothing skips a beat in that recruitment. So he's been the target. He was targeted last year, as we all know, and Georgia was in strong position at that point. Back then, before Raiola ended up choosing Ohio State. So, like you said, there's no firm timeline. I mean, it's a month away basically from that official visit weekend. So, correct me if I'm wrong, Blaine. There's no other visits scheduled in May until he's in Athens that first weekend. So, he, like you said, he could be. I wouldn't be shocked either way. Is just how I'll say. He could commit, next week after, whatever, before the official visit, or he could, be back in Athens and let the month of June play out. I don't know. I know obviously quarterbacks are usually the guys that are the Pied Pipers of these classes, bringing guys with them, especially guys like a Dylan Raiola, who's the number one guy in the class, and whether it's Jeremiah Smith or Wingo or whoever, say Raiola's a guy they know. So no, all we know for sure right now is that Georgia, looks like the front runner here, and Nebraska and USC aren't going to give up, nor should they. But I think, Georgia looks like they're in in a really good spot right now.
Trent, you got anything?
No, but like Jed said, Georgia's been prime and in a good position since the decommitment to Ohio State, and you knew nothing was coming quick because they felt like they rushed into the first one. So they've taken this opportunity to research, pray about it, and do all the things as a family that they need to get done, because they want this next decision to be the last decision. And he's taking his time, and when he's ready, he's ready. But I do think Georgia's in a good position to land that commitment.
Absolutely. Want to thank, of course, our good buddies in here, Andy Stowe, Alex Page. They joined us live for the draft live stream that we had with Tavares and Noshawn the other night. That was a lot of fun. Thomas is in here. Jeremy Barbary is in here from Philadelphia, he says, is where he's tuning in from. Nice. Randy Payne is in. So if you guys have anything in the YouTube chat, go ahead and drop those in there. We'll be getting to those, but we're going to go ahead without further ado. And that topic we were talking about in Raiola kind of leads up to this one. Jed, we got one from Big Fatty 94 that I don't know that any of us are going to be able to answer 100%.
Yeah, it's who do y'all start on a level playing field? Juju Lewis, Dylan Raiola, or Ryan Montgomery?
That's a hard question to answer, because if you looked at the last 2 or 3 years and you put them on a level playing field, I don't think Stetson Bennett wins that just from a pure quarterback position. He won it because of his knowledge of the offense, the way he operates upstairs. So I think that plays a big role in it. But from a talent standpoint, I don't know how to rank those guys. I think Juju and Raiola are probably a little bit ahead of Montgomery, but that's no slide on Montgomery. I think Montgomery's very good. But I would say the first two probably have that brand.
The thing about Ryan Montgomery that stands out to me about him is he is such a gifted basketball player as well. He's very, very good, and the athleticism that he has that translates both sports. He has that kind of he's kind of a point forward almost in basketball, plays some guard, but he's also big enough to get down into the post a little bit some too. So when you watch him play, he's kind of that court generally sees the floor real well. So I think that bodes well for him as a quarterback, a guy who's able to see the floor real well in basketball. So, but Juju and Raiola are totally two different type of quarterbacks, and it'd be a whole nother show to kind of compare all that. But just kind of hard to compare all three of their games. Three extremely talented guys, and you see Georgia's just continually going after talented guys. They already have Puglisi committed. We just talked to Deuce Knight in the 2025 class, who's also in the same class as Ryan Montgomery. A little note on Ryan Montgomery. We broke the news today on UGASports as well. Mike Bobo's going up to Findlay, Ohio to evaluate him on May 17th. So got that from UGASports as well. You guys need to be a part of the event. OEJ's got something for us, Jed.
Yeah, just how good is Dylan Raiola? Is he a can't miss prospect at quarterback? How is he compared to Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson at the same stage?
I think just like we mentioned with the last one, Trent, Raiola is so different than both those guys because he's so much bigger than both those guys right now as a high school guy. Because even Deshaun Watson was, even to this date, I think Deshaun Watson struggles with keeping weight on. He's a more of a slender type. Now he's bulked up more, and so is Trevor Lawrence. You can do that when you make millions and millions and millions, and are able to afford a personal trainer and a chef and all that kind of stuff. But Raiola is already kind of looks like an NFL quarterback with his physique.
Yeah, and it's also hard because, I was watching Deshaun Watson when he was in 7th grade. I watched him grow throughout at the quarterback position for 5 years. I was watching Trevor Lawrence when he was in the 8th grade coming up to 9th grade. We've only had the opportunity to kind of watch Raiola for the last year and a half. So it's a little different being able to cover these guys and see them, numerous times per year. But I do think Raiola is very good. I think Trevor Lawrence was one. He was known as I think both of those guys were known as generational quarterbacks, Deshaun and Trevor. I think Raiola, from a talent standpoint, is right up there with those guys. How it relates, or how it goes into college, and how that happens we'll see what happens there. But I think Raiola is very talented in his own, and he could make an impact just as those guys did.
Alex Page also points out you factor in genes with Raiola too. Yeah, he comes from an NFL pedigree, and it's also the fact that people have to realize his dad played center in the NFL for 12, 13 years, something along those lines. Definitely double-digit years. And as a center in the NFL, he's probably forgotten more football than we'll ever know in terms of protections and in terms of what defenses are trying to do to you and having to handle all that at the line of scrimmage. And definitely that has been imparted into Raiola. Whereas I'm not saying Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence weren't, readily prepared for college football, because obviously they were, but they did both play in more spread type systems and things like that. Dylan has played in spread type systems, but Dylan has also been under the tutelage of a, double-digit year NFL veteran at center, and his dad from, since he was a knee high, talking about playing football and all that kind of stuff. And then you add on top of it, he's actually training with the same guy that trains Patrick Mahomes, and Mahomes' trainer got in touch with the people around Dylan and was just effusive in praise after his training session with his trainer. Said he's one of the more talented guys he's ever trained. So we'll see. I don't know that you can ever say anything's can't miss in this world, because only the good Lord knows what's going to happen in the future. But he's certainly got a extremely, extremely high floor. We'll go with that. It's not going to be hard to add to what he brings to the table, especially physically. 6'2", maybe 6'3", 225 pounds, and is running a high 4.7, low 4.8 40. I mean, that is athleticism and strength and movement all right there together. So it's going to be interesting to see. Andy Stowe asked, when do you think the next commitment will happen? The scavenger hunt, the big June weekend? Guys, if you had to put some money down on it, obviously without saying a name or anything, when do you think the next commitment for Georgia in the class of 2024 happens?
I mean, I think it could be that scavenger hunt weekend. I mean, especially as it's shaping up, because you get guys on official. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember guys taking official visits scavenger hunt weekend last year. I could just be not remembering, but that's a weekend where in the past it shows off a bunch of different aspects of the program, I guess, where it's you see the coaches in a different environment. You get to learn a little bit more about the school. So, it could be that somebody pops in, or it could be, someone we don't. I mean, we were talking earlier that Dylan Raiola could be this month. So whether that would be before or after the scavenger hunt could be. So I don't think there's anything really, set maybe, but I definitely think you could look at that scavenger hunt weekend and think something could pop, that Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, maybe after that.
Yeah, I think you could even see not happen on either one of those particular weekends, but just randomly happening here over the next month or so. There's a few names out there that are either close or might be silently committed, as we say. But we continue to monitor those guys and try to get something firm so we have the details for y'all when it goes down. But you could see something happen over the next 3 weeks or so, not being those particular weekends. I think you could see some good news on those weekends for sure, but there is a couple guys that might not be those weekends, might just be randomly one Tuesday night at 11 o'clock. So
yeah, I say anywhere in the next 8 to 7 to 21 days, I think that you could see multiple. You could see definitely one, maybe two. If Georgia really got on a roll and was pushing somebody to say, hey, go ahead and come public with it now, it could be 3, but I think you could see for sure 1, more likely 2 in that time period. And then in June, it could be, Katie bar the door. We'll see what happens there.
I think if a couple of those big dominoes fall, you'll start seeing a lot of dominoes fall in the next couple months.
And we talked about, the Raiola effect, if that were to happen, Jed, and I'm going to skip to this because we don't have as many questions on this part, but I think offensive line is something you've got to look at because, offensive line, they want to go block for great backs and great quarterbacks and things like that. And there's some guys that definitely Raiola's been in touch with, like Brandon Baker. And then, so if that were to happen, I think you could see him. You got big Marquez easily out there. You got Westfall that Georgia's in his top 5. So the offensive line class, Malachi Tolliver's in there, but it's far from set, Jed, because he told us that Kirby told him he wanted to take 5 in this class if he could.
Yeah, and another guy, DeAndre Carter from Mater Dei out there is a West, Arizona's obviously not the West Coast, but a guy from out there that Raiola is probably familiar with. But yeah, I mean, if you're Daniel Calhoun, say, and you got, Dylan Raiola jumps on board, say, in a couple weeks, and then you're Daniel Calhoun is going to be taking his official to Georgia that first weekend of June when Raiola's there. That's a pretty strong case when you've got the number 1 player in the country there saying, hey, dude, I need you to come block for me. Because if and when Raiola jumps on board, Kirby Smart is going to, pass him a scroll and say, hey, dude, these are our top targets. Go after these guys, whether it's Calhoun, whether it would be, Ryan Wingo we talked to last week. He's got good relationships with KJ Bolden. I think when we had Raiola on, Blaine, he said he talks to KJ Bolden a little bit. Sammy Brown he's talked to. So all these guys, Kirby Smart is going to be
Maybe these two guys that Redo Fly's asking about, Dylan
Exactly.
Stewart and Justin Scott.
And like you said, when we've had guys we've talked to on that offensive line, multiple guys have said Stacey Searles has expressed that this is a pivotal offensive line class in terms of shaping the program going forward. And when we've kind of alluded to that ourselves, just kind of reading the tea leaves and saying, okay, this is a class Georgia really needs to hit on some guys on, but that mindset is certainly prevalent in the Butts-Mehre facility as well. So, like you said, there's a lot out there. Malachi Tolliver is a good player, or else Georgia wouldn't have taken him. But there's a lot out there between Calhoun, Baker, Westfall. There's guys like Walt Flynn out there who could have the heat turned up on him. I mean, there's a lot of work still to do on that offensive line front, and a quarterback like Dylan Raiola in the fold would certainly help out for sure.
You also have in your back pocket the fact that you just put a left tackle in the first round of the draft. Mm-hmm. So, and that helps as well with these big tackles, and Georgia's been able to put some offensive linemen in the draft the last couple of years, and they're starting to grow different positions. They had Pickens go, they've had the running backs go, they have offensive line go. Of course, they had Darnell go, and you're looking at Brock going next year. Of course, defensive back, linebacker, defensive line has been huge. So that they're starting to hit the map on all the positions now, and you got that in your back pocket going into big recruiting weekends.
Yeah, a little prediction on that. Georgia obviously has been, setting records at a record clip with getting guys drafted, but a lot of that's been defensive. I think Georgia's about to go on a real run offensively. I mean, I think it's not realistic. It's not unrealistic that you could see four dogs drafted in the first round next year. So I mean, it especially depending on what Carson Beck's year looks like with all those weapons and things like that, and how much people love quarterbacks. And there's always quarterbacks that come out of nowhere. I mean, nobody thought going into this year that Anthony Richardson would be the number 4 pick, right? But, things happen. We talked about offensive line. I think our Hall 55 may have been like an offensive line coach at one point in his life. He's always asked us about O-line, Jed. So what's our Hall 55 got?
Yeah, did Nikolai Brooks, the offensive lineman from Buford, commit today? And then by the end of June, how many commits will the Dogs have?
He didn't commit to Buford, but I think he announced that he's moving back to Cedar Rapids, right?
Yeah, he had a top 10 that was like really, I mean, I don't want to say it's strange because I don't know the kids' recruiting process, but kind of a little bit of an eclectic group of schools. Georgia wasn't in it, which I was a little surprised by, honestly, at the time, just because Georgia was one of the first schools to get in on him and recruit. I'm not saying Georgia would have been the leader, but a top 10 isn't exactly, trimming it down a whole lot. But yeah, like you said, Blaine is originally from Iowa, moved to Georgia to actually live with former NFL running back and / trainer Brandon Jacobs, whose son is a very talented offensive lineman in his own right. And now, like you said, Nikolai is moving back to Iowa. So, I mean, I'm sure Georgia's still. I mean, it's a 2025 kid, so even if he committed today, it's not like that recruitment's over. But I know he had Iowa and Iowa State in his top 10, so I think the pull of home might be pretty strong there. So,
especially moving back to live with his mom in Cedar Rapids.
Yeah, I would think he would likely end up staying somewhere closer-ish to home at that grade, but you never know. It's nothing's impossible. But to answer the question, no, didn't commit today. But if he had it wouldn't have been to Georgia. So
yeah, absolutely. Trent, we have one here from PA Dog 610. Break down Sammy Brown's recruitment. What's most important to him in a school? So go ahead and break down Sammy Brown's recruitment for everybody.
Well, it's been Georgia, then it was Clemson, then it was Georgia, then it was Clemson, then it was Georgia. We can go on. But I think the most important thing is to him is just relationships. You would seem if it was about playing time, you seem like Clemson might have the edge because of what Georgia's brought in over the past couple of years. But Georgia seems to always be one leg up or right there dead even with Clemson or a little slightly ahead. I think the relationship with Glenn Schumann is a huge factor there. And Georgia's been in a good situation. You've heard a lot of pro Clemson stuff. I think there has been a relationship building over the years with Clemson, but it's always been Georgia and Clemson, and everybody else is kind of chasing. I know Oklahoma and a few other schools are in there, but I think it's Georgia Clemson, and I think relationships are playing the biggest factor here, and I think he has the best relationship with Glenn Schumann.
Yeah, and I actually talked to him today. I'm gonna have a piece out on him tomorrow. On UGASports.com. He told me that he texts with Dylan Raiola at least once a week, every week, and they've been talking to him, kind of become good buddies, not just about recruiting, but sometimes it is about kind of the brass tacks of recruiting, but a lot of times it's just about high school and life and all that kind of stuff. And he said he's also very friendly with KJ Bolden, been on several visits with him and things like that, knows him well. Also a guy like Daniel Calhoun he's familiar with. So all these guys, they've gotten to know each other and things like that. So there is, if some of these dominoes start to fall, there's a draw effect that if could cause ripples across the entire class at multiple positions. And also with Sammy, I asked him, what is most attractive about Georgia? Like you've been there so many times, the coaches so well. And he said that just the fact that they line up and go nose to nose each and every practice, good on good, physical football. He said that is what he loves and how he wants to practice. And, said that's very attractive to him in a program. Also, he's kind of blown away by the disparity in the amount of NFL talent that Georgia has put out over other programs here recently. So definitely think that, Georgia's got some newfound momentum there in this one. And, hey, he's on that official visit, Jed, June 2nd through 4th. So, and he's going to be there with some committed guys, as you've already stated.
Yeah, and it's Georgia and Clemson. I think I mentioned this before. Clemson has all their top guys in on an official visit the same weekend. So, other schools, like Ohio State is in there, sort of Oklahoma, like you mentioned, Trent. But yeah, it's a Georgia Clemson battle, and it's and Blaine, you mentioned this in your post about it today. As soon as official visits are over, this recruitment's going to wrap up pretty quick. As you mentioned, he's a guy who
he's over it.
I've picked up this vibe from him in speaking with him as well. He's not a guy that loves the fanfare and the drama of the recruiting process by any means. I think he'd be a guy that would be, and we kind of talk about the public voices of a class. I think Sammy Brown is a guy that a lot of guys respect, and I think he's a guy who would be instrumental to a class, whether it's Georgia, Clemson, wherever, of doing work behind the scenes and trying to pull guys in. So he's a more low key kind of guy. He's from Commerce in Georgia, and he likes fishing. He likes just hanging out. So, and he's got great hair, as we all know. So it's going to be wrapped up for his senior season, maybe probably in July, if I had to guess, or early August. But yeah, it's looking like a Georgia Clemson battle right now.
Absolutely. Before we go, I wanted to share this. Talk to a prospect in the class of 2024 today that is committed actually to Alabama. His name's Jalen Mbakwe. He's from Pinson, Alabama, at Clay Chalkville over there. Georgia actually sent some staff over there today to evaluate him, and they've really been trying to work on flipping him since January. He's a corner, in the class, and he's been committed to Alabama, as you see there, since the middle of last year. But the interesting fact is he is cousins with Roderick Robinson, and Roderick Robinson is working very hard to try to bring his cousin into the fold there in Jalen Mbakwe. I do think you'll see Jalen make an unofficial visit over to Athens. It'll be interesting if a official visit takes place, but Georgia definitely trying to poach one of Alabama's defensive backs there, Trent.
I mean, everybody's cousins. You got cousins out in California that's wild. But yeah,
Well,
that's
he's
interesting.
Roderick's family. Remember, he's got family in Georgia and South Carolina. So
Yeah. But I mean, that's definitely interesting. That's so Georgia definitely has an end there. Him being committed to Alabama and being a Alabama, state of Alabama kid. Oftentimes you see those, Georgia will come in and try to flip him, but they're unsuccessful because of the ties to Alabama. But having that tie, having family already on Georgia's football roster, that's definitely an end for them.
absolutely. Well, guys, we covered a ton of ground. There's so many guys that we didn't even really get to touch on. I would just roughly say right now, and Trent, Jed, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but I would say in terms of just irons in the fire, guys that Georgia in the class of 2024 is keeping tabs with and building relationships with of some semblance, you're probably at, 35, 40 guys there, but you cut that down to about 20 of those guys that they're really, really prioritizing on top of what they already have committed. And then inside of that group, probably 7 or 8 that are like, we got to have them. So I think that's kind of where you're at right now in the recruitment stage.
Yeah, I think from a comfort level of where the staff feels with prospects, I think you look at Georgia's commitments and you see a lot of room, but with the guys that they're comfortable with at this time, spots are very tight in this class. We're talking about guys earlier that that could be jumping on board or might be jumping on board, but I think Georgia's if one of those guys, you're going to have to jump on board because I do think spots are very tight and they're going to get very tight quickly in this class.
Jed?
Yeah, I mean, and I think a lot of the, I think some of the positions that are open are at like a few positions. Like, okay, there's 3 to 4 offensive line spots left. You got the 5 technique spots that are open, outside linebacker spots that are open.
Maybe a couple running back positions.
Yeah,
another inside linebacker spot.
Interior defensive line, you want to add 1 or 2 more, which is where the Justin Scotts of the world come in. So, yeah, like you said, Trent, it looks like there's a lot, but there's really not as much room necessarily as it might look like. So.
Maybe 2 more wide receivers, another tight end.
Yeah, at least one. Yeah, at least 1, maybe 2 tight ends. So there's a lot of kind of, as they say, it's fluid, right? So it's something to watch, but yeah, definitely it's starting to get to that point where, like you said, Trent, the circle is getting like smaller and smaller as far as guys that are really coming into focus as realistic guys that Georgia wants and that want to be at Georgia.
Well, guys, we've covered a lot of ground. Appreciate you tuning in. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button. It helps us out a lot. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Make sure you're a member over at UGASports.com. The month of May, things are getting heated up outside, heated up on the recruiting trail. So you need to be on with us here at UGA Sports. For Trent Smallwood and Jed May, I am Blaine Gilmer. We'll catch you guys next Monday night live at 8:30. Catch Coach Donnan and Roddy and Dane and everybody tomorrow, and we'll catch you then. See you guys later.